3, 2, 1. Phantom of Many Topics. It is January 2025, and we are at the Nuremberg Palace of Justice. Yes, this is the place where the infamous Nuremberg trials took place in the latter half of 1945, early 1946, where Hermann Goering, Albert Speer, General Yodo, and Grand Admiral Donitz and another 20 other people were on trial here. Of the 24 people, 2 were found inconclusive, 3 were found innocent, and I think it was around 12 or maybe 13 people were executed, and the rest just received jail sentences. So we'll see you inside. Actually, it appears to be the building that was next to the building that I was at, which was this one, over around the corner, over around the corner, over around the corner. This one is the actual building I'm looking for. Okay, we're in the actual courtroom. We need to be kind of quiet. This is room 600 courtroom. Room 600. Courtroom. Actually, it looks bigger in the newsreels. I can't imagine squeezing how many hundreds of people in here in such a small, tiny courtroom, but I guess they managed to do it. I think what it was back in the day, these benches were not here. There was no audience participation, so all of the areas here were also, maybe it was pushed back a little bit. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, here's some explanation. Explanation. Do you mind? And here's more explanation. And more explanation. And then this is the modern day Nuremberg court next door. Modern day court next door.
Ladies and gentlemen, you now are in courtroom 600. This is where the Nuremberg trials were held from the 20th of November 1945. Please take a seat on one of the visitors' benches. In August 1945, the Americans requisitioned the entire Palace of Justice and started refurbishing it for the trial of the main war criminals. This mainly involved courtroom 600. We will now describe the layout of the room in 1945. To the left of the visitors' area, there is the impressive main entrance to the courtroom, framed by green marble pillars and a Medusa's head. The bronze figures above represent the fall from grace in the middle, with Eve handing Adam a fruit from the tree of knowledge. The young man on the left, holding a sword, represents the Germanic law. His opposite on the right, holding the fasces, stands both of German law.
It's a haunted room or what?
Law which we seek to condemn and punish have been so calculated, so malignant, and so devastating.
No record? No record. Okay, so dude said no recording inside. Okay, no recording. Here is the translation machine because simultaneously they had to translate from English to French to German to Russian. To Russian. Okay. Here's a little model of the courtroom. I think we were able to videotape in the courtroom. It's just that we couldn't videotape that presentation that they were doing when they shut off the curtains. I didn't know there was another back area here on the second floor where you can, yeah, okay. So that's what the courtroom looked like in 1945. I guess it was shaped differently than the way it is today. Okay. Differently. Okay. Here are two of the American reporters on the scene. One you recognize as Walter Cronkite on the left, and the other one is Marguerite Higgins of the New York Tribune. And then there's some other correspondents from other countries. Okay, this is a rather big room on the third floor, which is the museum exhibit. Second floor was where the courtroom actually was. This is the third floor.
Habt ihr alle mal gehört? Goebbels, Propaganda, Himmler, SS und Hitler, den Namen sollte auf jeden Fall kommen. Also die waren schon tot, haben sich alle drei selber umgebracht. Jetzt hat man die, der man noch haben.
Sorry. So this is a pretty big museum. There was that translation machine we saw. There's a timeline of the trial, but it's in German. Looks like Martin Bormann must have been tried in absentia because his body was not found until like 1991. There are, of course, conspiracy rumors that says that that finding was fake, as with all conspiracy rumors. Half of them were true. JFK was assassinated by the CIA. And then here's Tokyo's trial, the Tokyo war criminal trial. And here's the American judges, and then all the people in Tokyo who were accused of war crimes and convicted, some of them. Although Japan never apologized as a nation for the invasion and the Holocaust on China. And then down here are some of the what they call follow-up trials. Follow-up trials. Okay, so follow-up trials were trials that happened later. The first Nuremberg trial was just the ones who were important generals and ministers and so forth. But then there was a bunch of SS, what do they call it, Eisengruppen, and those were SS soldiers who were murdering women and children in the Baltic states, places like Lithuania or Latvia and so forth. And that's that. And then here is the thing for the UN about other war crimes that have happened, or non-war crimes, but crimes against humanity, like Rwanda and other kinds of mass atrocities in Africa. Okay, and here's some more word for word. Okay, it's more like photos. It's all in German, so I don't really know what they're saying. That recording device you heard earlier, I can go through each and every one of them, but then I'd be here for like 6 hours. I don't want to spend that much time in this museum. Okay. And these are the judges. This is witnesses and evidence. And judges. The judges. And they get their names put in here on the floor. There's the US. Okay. And what's France doing here? What's France doing here? Okay, and these are the ones that are on trial. Ribbentrop, Keitel, I don't know these guys, Rosenberg, and Jodl. Okay, I want to focus on Hermann Goering. He was found guilty, of course, of all counts of crimes against humanity. However, he cheated death by hanging himself in his jail cell 24 to 48 hours before he was supposed to be killed. The gentleman earlier, the one speaking in German in the background, told me that they found Martin Bormann's body in 1972, and that any conspiracy saying he went to South America is not true. Okay, as far as Karl Dönitz is concerned, he was the Grand Admiral of the German Navy, the Kriegsmarine, and so his crime supposedly, because he didn't know anything about those Jewish death camps, how would he? He's in the Navy on a submarine, so how would he know? But they said that his crime is that once the submarine hit a ship, that he didn't stick around to pick up survivors. Well, if you're in a submarine, you can't stick around to pick up survivors because other ships will come and gun you down. So, and he said his lawyer made a defense that, hey, the Americans are doing the same thing against the Japanese. When they sink Japanese ships, they're not sticking around to save the survivors either. So instead of getting a death sentence, he only got a 10-year imprisonment. Rudolf Hess. Rudolf Hess was the guy who traveled to England in 1941 to try to make peace with Winston Churchill. He actually landed in Scotland, I think, and then he was picked up by the Royal Army and then put in jail until the end of the war. And then he was given a life sentence. However, he, around the age of 92 or 93, he decided to kill himself before he could die of cancer or some other terminal illness. Okay, Eric Rader was released early from prison. Ribbentrop was the guy who created the treaty between Molotov and Ribbentrop, splitting up the nation of Poland in 1939. He's the one who came up with that deal, the Molotov-Ribbentrop deal. The thing is, if I'm his lawyer, I'm going to say, well, what about the Soviets carving up half of Poland? I mean, why wouldn't you put Molotov on trial? If you're just going to put Ribbentrop on trial, that wouldn't be fair, but he was executed. William Keitel, he was one of the ones who was there who signed the surrender document. He was executed. These people I don't know. Okay, Rosenberg was the head of the foreign political office of the Nazi Party. I think he's one of those guys that was in the movie Conspiracy. If you saw that, the movie Conspiracy with Stanley Tucci and who's the other guy? His Kenneth Branagh, yeah. Kenneth Branagh played Heinrich, what's his name? Reinhard Heydrich, yes. I just can't pronounce some of these German names. Okay, and then you have Alfred Jodl, who was also, I think he was one of the surrendering generals as well, and he was executed in 1946. Okay, here's some nobodies. I don't really know these guys. I don't really care. Albert Speer. Okay, so he is very special because he was going to be sentenced to die. He's the architect of Hitler's like buildings and stuff like that. He was going to build Germania for Hitler. However, in the end, he's the only one to apologize to the court for the atrocities and for one that they did. He's the only one who showed any contrition at all. So instead of getting a death sentence, he was just sentenced to prison for 20 years, and he got out in 1966. And then these other guys I don't really know. Overall, there were 3 people that were found completely innocent. And they wanted, I think those 3 people were just stuffed there. I mean, they were innocent to begin with, but I think they were just sent there just so that the court can let some people go and then say, hey, see, we are a fair trial. See, we let some of them go. The ones that were innocents were not killed. But I don't think those 3 should have even been in the trial in the first place, because they were just like bankers and accountants and stuff like that. There was recently a trial where they wanted to bag the accountant of one of the death camps, concentration camps. I don't remember whether it was Dachau or Auschwitz or whatever, but then the guy was already 90-something years old. And same thing with the lady who was just a typist in the secretary's office, and they wanted to bag her. And I don't think that's right, because, you know, I mean, like typists and accountants, they didn't have anything to do with the concentration camps. Of course, the Holocaust happened. No one denies it, but the Holocaust was even worse in China, but no one ever talks about it. Okay, overall, this was a very good museum. It was informative. Those special recordings, like the one I showed you, they were in many different languages, including English, and it was pretty wonderful to listen to some of them, but I didn't share it with you necessarily. It's almost time to exit and go have lunch. Okay, thank you. See you later.